Hi again, everyone. Sports Underground coming to you live from the Best Western Plus Mall of America, Bloomington, Minnesota. Thanks to Mark Olson and everyone that works at the hotel here. Thanks for everything you do. Thanks for the accommodations. We really do appreciate it. A few things to touch on here. Viking Stadium issues, kind of a Wild and Wolves wrap-up, and then Twins early season report card. Not that you need us to tell you how bad that is. But let's start with the elephant in the room, the Viking Stadium. And boy, Mike, I tell you what an absolute mess this thing is.
Yeah, it's really confusing even for us who are kind of in tune to that kind of thing to really grasp what's going on. Because last week we had local legislation say, we're not going to do anything this year. It's got to be, brought back to the table next year for 2013. The Vikings come back and say that's absolutely not acceptable for us. We've been on the back burner long enough. It's time to either, do something now or not. Or otherwise we're going to pack up and leave. So then...
Yeah, they roll in the commissioner, the whole NFL comes with Goodell, and threats start flying. And next thing you know,
all of a sudden,
something passes a committee, and now they say, we maybe can get it to the floor for a vote. So...
But that's where I get confused.
Well, did no one believe that they were going to leave until Goodell came in and they actually had to see him like the Doubting Thomases they are around here?
It's like the worst bluff ever. And I said it before, I'm so sick of nickel and diming everything in this area. It's so done on the cheap, and it's not a poor area.
No, well, here's the thing. You talk about nickel and diming. Here's what's going to happen. It's going to get approved. They're going to jam it into some hole next to the mall or next to the Metrodome right now that no one wants to be in. And then 5 years from now, go, boy, if we just could have got the thing at Arden Hills, look how much better it could have been for everyone.
Exactly.
And the thing that everything's got to be in Minneapolis drives me up a wall. But at this point, I guess I'll take what we can get.
As long as it keeps the Vikings here, that's fine.
Yeah, but this thing should be in Arden Hills. There's no doubt in my mind. There's solutions to solve it, whether it be the White Earth tribe giving us $400 million to build it and split in revenue with the state, which seems like a win-win for me. We're not infringing on Indian gaming rights that way. They're getting the money. They're deciding what to do with it. They want to share it with us. Or my idea, Allo, which no one has talked about, why don't we put a sports book in the Mall of America? We're not infringing on anyone's gambling rights because sports betting is illegal in Minnesota. You could have a legalized sports betting, make it illegal. You can't bet the Twins, Vikings, Gophers, any Minnesota sports. How much money would that, raise? Think about all the bookies around, the couple state area here that you could probably think of. Why aren't we taxing that? Why aren't we using that money to make a stadium? And we're not hurting anyone's feelings, and we're not increasing gambling. I don't care what anyone says. Another casino isn't increasing gambling either. It's just another place for people to go.
A gambler's a gambler, right? And, it goes back to the root of the thing. It's so confusing.
Well, it is.
Nobody knows where we are right now.
Well, and everything's got to be so bipartisan. If the Democrats like it, by God, the Republicans hate it.
I know.
If the Republicans like it, the Democrats... They don't solve any problems. It's just a matter of griping at each other, and they want to be, at the end of the day, you didn't get it done. No, it was your fault they didn't get it done. And that's all we get done.
What it comes down to is the politicians, they want to be known for the now. Right now, like I was in office when we got this school built and we built this park, but mark my words, if the Vikings leave, the only legacy they'll have is they were in office when the Vikings left the state, and no one will ever forget it.
Well, and I think Dayton as governor, that would be
his legacy.
He would be the guy that lost the Vikings, no matter if he does anything great or doesn't. That's his legacy, and I don't think anyone wants that.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
The most popular sports franchise in this town, without question, and
so and it's just confusing and it's maddening as a Viking fan to understand where we are and where we are going forward. I think we'll find out a lot more this week. It sounds like there's a committee to get a bill passed, but come on, does it take that much? Is it this hard?
Do they stay? Do you think they stay? Is there any way this doesn't get done?
I said last year I thought the Wilfs would sell before the Vikings move. I thought they'd just wash their hands of it. No, I don't think they move. I think we get something done. But I'm just sick of, again, the nickel and diming and for taking forever. I realize you're nearing $1 billion for a stadium or
yeah, I get it. There's important things. I do too. But you got to do it.
But
because here's the thing too. Look what happened with the North Stars. When the Wild came back, it cost you 4 times more. 5, 6, 10 years from now, we're going to be sitting around going, "Wow, can't wait for the expansion team to come." In come the Minnesota Moose, and they're going to cost us $4 billion.
Having an NFL team in a city, in a state, makes you relevant.
It does.
It makes you exciting. It draws people. It gives people jobs. Just get it done, please. I don't know. I'm frustrated, but again, you do have to bring up the possibility that maybe they do leave. So I was going to ask you this: who's your backup team in case they do leave? Who are you going to root for?
Houston Texans or Indianapolis Colts. Those would be my two choices.
Really? I thought you were a big San Diego Charger guy.
I am, but I was more of an LT guy than I was Charger guy, and I like the Colts Manning. So Andrew Luck, maybe I can start over fresh with him. Or how many Texan fans do you know?
Yeah.
Not a lot. Or perhaps the Jaguars, because I don't think anyone likes the Jaguars, and I don't want to be accused of being a bandwagon jumper. So maybe the Jaguars would be my third team. How about you?
Oh, there we go. I was hoping you'd ask.
Were you waiting?
Yeah, I was waiting. I was going to say Pittsburgh Steelers because they're always good. You can hang your hat on them. They're always solid. Buffalo Bills because they bring me back to my Minnesota roots because they're never really any good.
Yeah, they've always won 4 Super Bowls.
Always kind of trying to scramble, so it just keeps me humble. Mm-hmm. And those would probably be my top two.
No chance you go across the river and become a Cheesehead fan?
There's absolutely not. They're still my most hated teams. I mean, there's teams that I can't root for. The Falcons for 98, the Giants for multiple times, Eagles, multiple times, 49ers. Everybody's beating us for some different reason, so I hate them. Oh, I like the Lions because they're fun to watch now.
Right. But if you start liking them, they'll all get hurt, and then they'll never be relevant again. So.
Yeah, I like my fantasy football teams.
Yeah, something like that. So, a little stadium rant there. If anyone's watching this, call your legislator, do what you can, let them know it means something, because we can't obviously have the Vikings leave. And it's not in the NFL's best interest either. They don't want the Vikings gone.
And that's what they're doing in town.
Yeah, they're trying to say they want the rivalry. Without coming in and saying it, they're just, trying to tell people to pull their heads out and get this thing done. Just move on.
And Minnesota's not such a small market that we can't have this here. We can support
this. Absolutely. And how many teams have to leave before we finally get it to our thick skulls that just do it right? We don't need a replacement team 10 years from now. We just don't. Yeah. So, all right, enough about the Vikings. Let's kind of wrap up a couple of seasons that just ended. The Minnesota Wild ended with a flurry, just enough to get out of the top 3 picks in the draft and come in at number 7. A lot of hope. We've been talking hope. They've been talking hope. Mikael Granlund's coming. Jonas Brodin, supposedly going to help defensively. Zach Phillips, Coyle. The list is long of hopefully will-be's. What do we do about the never-gonna-be's that we have in this roster right now?
We got to replace them with the up-and-comers. But, because aren't you sick of having a team full of grinders? Aren't we about done with that project? We got to replace them. So. The Brosniaks.
I'd like to have my top 6 forwards actually not be bottom 6 forwards, and that's what we have. We have 10 of our 12 guys, or 9 of our 12 guys, are fourth line players.
Yeah, I would like to see us score more goals than we give up for once. Mm-hmm. It sounds. I've been on it before. We got to shore up the goaltending.
Well, even when we were winning early in the year, and it was fun. They were still pretty boring games. 2-1, 3-2. Just
it was.
And Mike Yeo promised to bring some excitement back, and I'm not blaming Yeo. I'm not blaming Fletcher. I actually think Fletcher's done a heck of a job getting us to at least where we have some hope in the minors.
You can't praise those guys enough.
I don't think so either.
It's not his fault.
No, it's not. And it's different because we like to sit here and complain about pretty much every coach and general manager in town. But it is different if you know where the Wild came from and what Riseborough really did to that team. The fact that we have 5 or 6 young guys that come play, that's pretty exciting actually. And I like the fact that I look at Yo and he looks like he is in charge. Mm-hmm. Like, he didn't put up a lot of crap this year. He ran Zidlichky out of town, who, pretty talented guy, he just isn't going to deal with that stuff, and I kind of like that.
Let's not forget it's his first year. Mm-hmm. He did take us a long ways at the beginning. Mm-hmm. This again is too talented of a team to be that low.
Well, I know before the year you predicted they would be a playoff team.
I
didn't think so, and it's just one of those things where everything caught up with them. The youngness of their defense. We talked about earlier in the year too. They needed some veterans to stabilize the defense. We moved them all out of here, and you kind of saw it sort of fall apart. Scandella did come back at the end of the year and start to play really well, but going forward,
we jettisoned Nick Schultz, and
what needs to happen for this team to not only make the playoffs but be able to win a series?
I still come back to that stud defenseman. I still come back to that one or two guys.
So it's Suter.
We
got to get him.
Yeah, it has to be. But he's also got to be that guy. Because is he that guy? Because when you think of the top 10 defensemen in the league,
No, he's not in
is
there.
he on that list?
He's not even the best defenseman on his team right now.
Right.
That's Shea Weber. But Weber's a pretty high-end example of a defense.
He's one of the top 10 in the league.
Yeah, but Suter's got to be.
But
right
remember like how good Ed Jovanovski was?
Mm-hmm.
Remember how good he was? Chris Pronger's another
Yep.
name that comes back. Ray Bork, Paul Coffey, all those guys were always playing in the Stanley Cup, and all those guys had one thing in common. They ate up a lot of minutes, they knew when to take penalties, they knew how to play hard, they had just enough scoring touch, they moved the puck. They were all excellent players.
Well, yeah, and you're hoping Brodin is that next, line of defensemen, I guess. But they're going to have to overpay for Suter, which is kind of scary because the last defenseman I remember us overpaying for, something called Kim Janssen, and that worked out terribly for us.
Well, it's like we rolled the dice on Cam Barker, and it didn't work. Those were all supposed to be the guys that were going to be doing this for us, but we may have to draft the guy. Maybe we did.
Maybe we did. But we drafted another guy this year. Pretty deep with defensemen.
It's supposed to
early in
be.
the draft.
We're supposed to get a defenseman there.
Yeah.
Yeah. From everything I've read, it's supposed to be a defenseman. The offensive guys are probably going to be gone by then, or not really worth the gamble at 7. To be honest with you, this draft I guess is 4 players deep. So whoever you take at 7 through 12 is probably going to be. And again, the NHL draft is a complete dice roll.
It is.
You don't know.
Yeah,
who
unless you're the
gonna
number 1 or maybe number 2 pick, we're not going to see this kid for a couple of years, whoever it is.
And he may not pan out. We know that here in Wild Country before. So
yeah, we've had a long list of those. Yeah,
I think getting Suter is more important than getting Parisi. Believe it or not.
Yeah, you're probably right, but
Parisi.
we
also need to pump in goals too. So you
do.
pick, you pick one or the other. It'd be nice to have both. It's both feasible, hopefully, but we have problems on both ends.
We do.
We really do. And I wish we could find Backstrom when he was 29 again.
No, you're right.
Because
absolutely.
we asked a lot of them. He's used up, and those goalies are going for.
Well, Hackett's going to have to be the guy this year or next year. He really does have to take a big step forward because Harding. How many more 1-year contracts has that guy got in him?
No, I wanted to get rid of that guy a couple of years ago when we could have sold him high, and Hackett's going to have to step in. We're going to have to milk enough out of Backstrom for a playoff run, but I get sick of saying, "Well, wait till next year, wait till next year."
And I think we finally come to that point. Now obviously we have to get Parisi, we have to get Suter, but these young guys, Granlund, if they're even half right on this guy, he's going to be better than everyone but Koivu on our team. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's half right. But if he comes in,
well, you're talking about a Taylor Hall, Sagan. Kind of maybe not a Stamkos type, but
no, not Ovechkin, Stamkos, Malkin, but kind of that mold. There's a chance that he could be a 30-goal scorer.
Stamkos might be the best player in the NHL.
He might be. Wouldn't it be awesome to have a guy actually score 30 goals in this team? Wouldn't that be fun to watch?
Yeah.
So we're going to talk a little more about Wild when we get close to the draft. We'll do a whole segment on that, but I don't want to drag this out for an hour on how we could remake the Wild roster because trust me, we've got opinions on that too. So let's move on to the Timberwolves. We talked about Ricky Rubio the last time we were together and how it was going to be a danger point for them once they lost him. Well, look what happened.
Well,
they fell completely off the face of the earth.
There's
Beasley, Love, Ridnour, Pekovic, injuries.
And the interest, the fanfare has been lost with that in the last month as well. But, I was thinking about this the other day. Can you go back in Minnesota sports history, and maybe even more so with the Timberwolves, and pinpoint moments in time where things went wrong? And I'm going to go back to when we didn't get Shaq, we didn't get Alonzo Mourning, we didn't get Chris Webber, we didn't get Tim Duncan,
Grant Hill, Jason Kidd.
We didn't get. I mean, the list goes on.
Right.
The list goes on. You go back you can pinpoint those.
We trade Ray Allen for Stephon Marbury. That might be one of the biggest things that ever happened.
And we trade Kevin Garnett, albeit it was time. I get it.
But we got nothing for him.
As of recently, what is the moment in time that you can think of?
Ricky Rubio getting hurt.
Everything went just wrong.
Yeah, we finally got back on the map.
And all of a sudden, a fluke. And it was a fluke.
It was. Kobe broke his ankles, literally broke his knee. It just, I don't know how it happens, and we mentioned it before. is there any other market in the United States where the best players continually get hurt over and over and over? Off every team?
I can't think. Well, that moment in time, the Vikings ship sank. I know it's bad, but when Culpepper broke his knee, remember that?
You're right. Yeah,
that changed the course of that franchise for a long time.
absolutely.
Right?
And let's hope that Rubio comes back. He doesn't get Culpeppered because
We need him.
With
bad.
him, this town was electric. Even when they lost, still fun to watch. People were talking. Hell, we're talking about it.
Yeah,
And we had watched more than 3 Timberwolves games in the last 5 years.
Well, they weren't losing 117 to 91. They were losing, 98 to 95.
Right. And Kevin Love established himself as a late game performer.
Yep.
Hit some clutch shots at the end of games to beat the Clippers, for example. Tied up the Thunder late. Him and Durant kind of going man to man.
But sort of a quiet, low-key all-star, you know what I mean? Sort of
Right.
he's not the flashy, he's not going to get all the hoopla and fanfare nationwide, but around here you can't get any better. And the emergence of Pekovic.
Talk about the first guy in a long time of any Minnesota team that came out of nowhere to be really, really good.
Have we solved our center problem?
I think so.
My problem with him, I got it, he's so big and unathletic that I worry about him breaking down over an 82-game season.
And we saw a little bit of that with the foot problem this year.
We did, and I'm thinking, we got Darko to fill in,
But once Pekovic kind of took over, did you even know Darko was on the team?
I forgot. I mean,
exactly.
He can go away. That's fine.
I think he's kind of burnt the bridge with Adelman. It didn't seem
Right.
like Adelman put up with any of his crap.
Right. What do you think of Derek Williams' rookie season?
Up and down, like you would expect the rookie. Flashes of greatness, and then some games where you just wonder if he even knew what he was doing. But you get Beasley out of here next year. It gives Williams more time to play. You find us a shooting guard. You get rid of Wes Johnson. And all of a sudden you've got rid of 2 guys who took up minutes that don't really need to be here. So,
Maybe.
and when Williams played more, he got a little confidence playing the Clippers, scored 27, and he'd play good for a week at a time. And then he'd have one bad game and it'd kind of get to him. And then Adelman, I think he was trying to play bad cop. He would, sit him to make a point. He wouldn't get his minutes. And I think that affects a rookie a lot more than it does a veteran.
Well, same with Beasley. He seems awfully pouty about it, too. So I think Beasley's out of here. I wish we would have maybe traded him now in hindsight to maybe get something for him. But it sounds like, to me, we may end up with a draft pick this year.
Yeah, the Jazz are fighting for that 8th spot.
If the Jazz make the playoffs, we get their draft pick. Now, albeit, would it be around 17 to 20 range? But you might be able to score a point guard or a shooting guard out of that.
Well, and the way the NBA trades, you could trade that in your first-round pick next year to move on up to 6 or 7, whatever.
If somebody wants his Wes Johnson's contract or whatever.
Yep.
It works so weird. You're right.
Yeah.
But for once, maybe we could swing a trade where we could move up a little bit and get a kid out of college that wants to shoot the ball and actually score some points. That's
right. Well, because shooting guard is what we need.
Yeah.
We don't have a true shooting guard, and that's what we're missing. It would sure be.
It'd be nice to get a serviceable backup center if we could find one somewhere. Just a tall guy doesn't even care. It doesn't even matter.
We got so many Martell Websters and Williams, and there's 3 or 4 guys that are just kind of the same dude.
The same guy.
And if we could get rid of 2 of those guys and get a shooting guard and get a backup center, our point guard situation, we got too many of them. Berea, Ridenour. Well, Ridenour filled in quite nicely, actually, at shooting guard.
I do like Ridenour. I like Berea, too.
Yeah, I do, too.
I think he brings a different dynamic to the team. Are we actually getting relevant and maybe a little bit popular enough for free agents to sign here?
Close.
We're still going to have to overpay for him.
Maybe, if not this year. But we did get Berea here. Not that he was a huge signing, but for us that was a pretty big signing because he did win a championship.
To sign anybody here.
Yeah. I think we're a year away. Rubio comes back, proves he's healthy. I think then there'll be a little more buzz. We'll probably make the playoffs next year. And then you could go forward from there.
Yeah.
And probably sign a few people.
Go from there. Right.
So that's a little bit of Timberwolves talk.
We got anything on the Twins?
Twins, pretty briefly. It's pretty early in the year. Morneau struggling. Mauer's struggling. The pitching staff is diseased. Liriano got beat again today. Is it just time to give up on this guy?
I said it. Didn't I say it 2 years ago?
You did.
I did. I mean, because we're still married to that 2006 season or what have you, where he was under Santana and he was 17-4 or something.
He was 12-2, I believe, when he got hurt.
Yeah, and he was unbelievable, lights out, and we're still hoping for that. It was 6 years ago, people.
Yeah, you're right.
You know what I mean? And he threw that ugliest no-hitter ever last year. I get it, but
the only bright spot right now is Willingham. He looks like a great free agent signing.
Well, he does.
Could I or who?
Yeah,
I mean, honestly.
If we could find, besides a half dozen more guys like that, whether they be pitchers or position players, we need more players like that. And a name that I keep thinking about is Phil Umber. Why should I know that name?
Because we got him in the Santana trade.
That's right.
And then, what do we do? Oh, we let him go.
Okay, and then what happened? Fast forward, what
Yeah,
happened then this year?
That would be perfect game, I believe, Phil.
that was 23.
But
Yeah.
we don't need him.
No.
You know, he was really struggling, and I
Couldn't find the
guess
strike zone.
yeah, one man's trash is another man's perfect game. They always say.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just how we roll, though. It honestly is.
Yeah.
You know,
I would say stay tuned to the Twins, but it's probably not worth it. I mean,
well,
you know,
we have no pitching. The starters, Pavano is our best starter, and I don't need to say any more about that.
No, that's pretty sad when he's your best starter. That's
The
tough.
bullpen is in disarray. Perkins can't even get anybody out anymore. It's going to be a really, really long year.
Yeah, I think you know that we had that 10-year cycle from 91 to 01 where it was terrible, 01 to 11 where it was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're back in that 10-year cycle where
I
we're
think-
going to have to start getting prospects through here.
Yep.
And maybe you got to start saying, you know, Mauer, thanks for the memories, but we're not going to go anywhere with you.
Right.
It's
Well, he's handcuffed us, you know.
It's maybe more fair for us to trade you and more fair to you to go to a team that
Right.
you can service a a little better. More
Well,
knows
yeah,
well.
for 20-some million a year, you need more than 290 and 7 home runs out of Joe Mauer. You really do.
More know as well. You know, thanks, but if you're going to go anywhere with your career, it's probably going to be somewhere else.
No, you're probably right. So,
You know, too bad, but
yeah.
we got a great stadium. We got some great fans up here.
Right, you'd think that you'd be able to get some baseball players up here because the stadium is beautiful. It really is. And, you know, Gardy seems like a pretty decent guy. You know, pretty straight shooter. But it's not the Twins' way to bring anyone in big. And now that Terry Ryan's back in charge, it ain't going to get any better with big names. But hopefully he'll fill the farm system up again.
It sounds like it's depleted.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like anybody's there to really get excited.
Very
about
wild-like a couple of years ago.
It
when Ryan
is,
brought
but
it up, so.
and hopefully that can change with some high draft picks here. And I know we talked about the draft isn't the same in the MLB, but you know, maybe we could hit on, you know, like I said, a half dozen guys that actually pan out.
Right.
You know.
So, just a little Twins talk there. We'll do another segment on the Twins in a month or so, getting back in the season. We'll spend a little time on them. But right now, really not a lot to talk about. We've got Vikings and NFL draft coming up, and that's kind of the biggest thing on the plate right now. So, that's all we got for you guys this time. Thanks for checking us out. By the next time you see us, we're hoping that the website will be up, mnprosports.com, so be looking for that. Thanks for watching. Mike Welch, Ken Kletcher. We will see you guys very soon right here on the Sports Center.